There are tales in Middle-earth that even the stars remember, stories whispered through branches of ancient forests long after their heroes have turned to dust. One of those stories begins with a woman of light, an elf whose very presence softened the air around her. Noorah of Lothlórien was born under a falling star, blessed with a voice the moon itself paused to hear. But her heart carried a quiet sorrow, something she never spoke of, something the forest felt when she walked by. It was the night the shadow creatures of the east spilled beyond their borders, creatures twisted by darkness older than Sauron himself. Noorah should not have been there, yet destiny often chooses the most fragile moments to turn. She stumbled, and the creatures closed in. Just when the darkness reached her, he appeared, a stranger, a warrior, a man with eyes like stormlight breaking through winter clouds. His sword sang through the night, cutting darkness like fabric. When the final creature fell, Noorah could not breathe, not from fear, but from the sight of him. He had saved her life, but she saw something in him, something broken, for the shadows had touched him, and shadows never touch without taking something in return. "Do not come closer," he whispered, voice ragged. "No one should be near me, not now." But Noorah stepped forward, fearless, as only elves who have lived centuries can be. The corruption pulsed under his skin, a slow, agonizing rhythm. "Who are you?" she asked softly. Her voice was like warm sunlight on cold stone. He hesitated. A long, painful silence passed between them. "I no longer deserve a name. If this tale has already touched your heart, leave a rose in the comments so I know you walk this path with us." Noorah touched his face. A gesture so simple, yet powerful enough to silence the forest. The shadows recoiled from her. Elven light can wound even the deepest darkness. He gasped, nearly falling to his knees from the pain and relief. "I can help you," Noorah whispered, "and I will, if you let me." He looked up at her, and for the first time, hope flickered behind his storm-grey eyes. But hope is a dangerous thing, especially for a man already losing himself. Noorah leaned closer, placing her forehead gently against his, an elven healing ritual, and a promise she did not yet understand. Light flowed from her, into him, but the darkness fought back, and then it happened. The shadows that were consuming him turned and struck her. She cried out, softly, like a wounded star, and he, the man who had lost his soul, caught her before she fell. He had saved her life once, but now she was dying because of him. And for the first time since he had lost his soul, he felt fear. The woman he barely knew had just become the one thing he could not lose. The forest was no longer a sanctuary. It twisted and trembled as if mourning the elf now fading in a stranger's arms. Her breath grew faint, light flickering, like the last embers of a dying fire. Every step he took awakened the corruption inside him, the shadows whispering, tempting, clawing. Her voice, weak, fragile, rose like a trembling leaf in winter. "Your name, tell me your name." He hesitated, but the stars above them demanded truth. "Rivendell," he whispered, "a name I no longer deserve." Noorah's body went limp. The corruption had slipped deeper, closer to her heart. Rivendell's breath shattered. The world narrowed to the weight of her in his arms. He had not known her an hour, yet losing her felt like losing the last piece of himself still worth saving. There was one place the corruption feared, the Rivendell, an ancient healing spring, forgotten by most elves. Rivendell carried her there, each step fueled by desperation and something far more dangerous, hope. He lowered her into the glowing waters. They embraced her like liquid moonlight. The spring awakened. Light wrapped around Noorah, fighting the creeping darkness. Rivendell placed a hand on her chest, and pain shot through him like a lightning bolt. Their fates were now intertwined, her life tied to his curse. Noorah's eyes fluttered open, weak, unfocused. "Rivendell, what are you?" He turned away, unable to face her innocence. "I was once a guardian of the Northern Keep, but I sought forbidden power to save my people." His voice broke, and darkness answered me. He had tried to save his homeland. Instead, he had become its doom. Noorah reached for him, her fingers trembling, still glowing with the spring's light. "You did not lose your soul," she whispered. "You gave it away for love of your people." Her words were gentle, yet they cut deeper than any blade, for she had seen the truth inside him. But the shadows inside Rivendell were not finished. They sensed Noorah's healing light and hungered for it. The corruption burst from him, striking the water with a hiss. Noorah gasped, her light dimming again. "No!" Rivendell roared, grabbing the shadows with his bare hands. They burned him, yet he did not let go. He dragged the corruption away from her, forcing it back into himself. His scream tore through the forest. The trees bowed in sorrow. When the water finally stilled, Noorah crawled toward him, tears blurring her vision. "Why would you do this for me?" she whispered. He met her gaze, raw, vulnerable. "Because your light reminded me of the man I once was. If you were still here, walking with Noorah and Erindor through shadow and starlight. Leave a rose in the comments, so I know you're listening." A sudden glow rose from the spring. Runes ancient as the first age spiraled around them. Noorah's eyes widened. "The spring! It is speaking!" a voice echoed. Deep, melodic, heartbreaking. Two souls bound by shadow and light. Only one may walk free. Noorah's heartbeat staggered. "What does it mean? One may walk free?" Erindor looked away, for he already understood. "To save you," he whispered. "I must surrender the last of my soul." "No," Noorah breathed. "No, Erindor. I will not let you die for me. But destiny is a river, and rivers do not ask permission to flow." The runes brightened. A sign, a warning. Suddenly the corruption inside Erindor surged. Powerful, furious, starving. It had tasted Noorah's light, and it wanted more. Erindor stepped between her and the darkness. "Run!" he whispered. "Run!" But Noorah did not run. She stepped forward and took his hand. The corruption exploded around them, light and shadow colliding in a storm of magic. When the light faded, Erindor was no longer standing. He had saved her life again, but this time he had given something far worse than his soul. The sky was the color of bruised steel when Noorah arrived at the edge of the world. Below her, the cliffs of Lothlórien fell into shadow, black, bottomless, swallowing all light. A place whispered of in old songs as the chasm where time hesitated. And there, on a narrow outcropping, stood Kyle, or what remained of him. His back was to her, cloak whipping in the wind like a torn banner. Silver light leaked from cracks along his arms, veins that no longer belonged to any mortal or elf. The Soulbinder's mark had consumed almost everything. "Noorah?" His voice was quiet, too quiet. He didn't turn. He didn't dare. "If you've come to stop me, you're too late." She stepped forward, her gown snapping in the storm winds, her emerald eyes bright with a pain she refused to hide. Kyle finally turned, and when he did, her heart broke. Half his face glowed with the warmth she remembered. The gentle, stubborn man who carried her through snowstorms, who laughed at dawn, who walked beside her beneath moonlit trees. But the other half was carved with shadow. Cold light poured from beneath his skin. A faint ring of obsidian circled his iris like a chain. "Noorah, don't look at me like that." "Like what?" "Like I'm still worth saving." The air rippled violently. A surge of soul-binding magic burst from him, enough to send stones tumbling from the cliffside and shred the clouds above. He staggered, clutching his chest. "It's happening faster," he gasped. "The mark? It's pulling me into the rift, into the realm of the nameless." Noorah stepped closer. Kale stepped back. One step more, and he would fall. One step less, and she would lose him forever. "Noorah!" He lifted a hand glowing with light and shadow both. "I don't have control anymore. I could hurt you. I could destroy what's left of me trying not to." She shook her head. "You saved my life, Kyle, even when it cost you your soul. Let me save yours." He laughed weakly, a sound too broken for a man so strong. Elf Healer, his childhood name for her, always spoken with affection. Even now, "You can heal wounds of flesh," he said, "but not the unraveling of a soul." A long silence. Wind cried across the cliffs. The storm above seemed to pause, waiting. Kyle's breath hitched. "You always see the light in things," he murmured, "even when the world goes dark." Then his voice lowered. "But Noorah, I don't know if I want to be saved." That shattered her more than any spell. "You don't want this," she pleaded. Kyle shook his head. "You don't understand. When the Soulbinder struck you, I felt your heartbeat fading. I heard your breath falter. I saw your life slipping into the dark." His voice broke, and the world lost meaning. He swallowed hard, trembling. "There was nothing I wouldn't give to bring you back, even if it meant giving up the only soul I had." Noorah stepped forward, ignoring the violent pulse of his magic. "And now I give mine," she whispered. His eyes widened. "No, Noorah, no. You cannot bind yourself to me. The curse will consume us both. Then let it, she said, voice shaking. If the price of your life is mine, I pay it freely. There must be a way, she whispered. A path between worlds, even if it costs the both of us. There is, Kyle admitted. She froze. There is a way? Why didn't you? Because it requires a sacrifice. He exhaled shakily. A final, irreversible one. What sacrifice? My memories. If I release everything I am, he said, the soulbinder's mark will detach. I will survive, but Kyle, the man you know, will vanish. Her lip trembled. You would live, but you would forget me? He nodded once. Noorah's breath left her in a quiet, wounded sound. To save him, she would have to lose him forever. Kyle, she whispered, I don't want a world where you look at me with a stranger's eyes. And I don't want a world where you mourn me, he said gently. At least this way, you would not watch me die. Her tears finally fell. And what of you? He gave a sad smile. I won't remember enough to be in pain. The storm roared again. The cliffs cracked beneath their feet. The world was running out of time. Noorah closed her eyes, then opened them. Brilliant, fierce, unyielding. If there is to be a sacrifice, she said, it will not be yours alone. Kyle stiffened. Noorah, she stepped closer, pressed her hands to his chest, and whispered, then let our memories fade together. Kyle's eyes widened in horror. No, Noorah, don't. You can't. Together, she said, and she unleashed her power. Golden elven light erupted from her palms, merging with the fractured silver inside him. Magic collided, violently, beautifully. Light and shadow, weaving like two halves of one soul. The cliff split, the sky shattered with fire. The world trembled, and in that storm of impossible power, they held each other. Kyle's voice broke. Noorah, I'm so sorry. For what? For loving you, only to lose you. She rested her forehead against his. We are not losing each other, she whispered. We are finding a new beginning. A scream tore through the storm. Light, not pain. Hope, not despair. And then, silence. In the heart of an untouched forest. Beneath the white leaves of an ancient tree, two figures sat quietly on a fallen log. A woman with gentle emerald eyes. A man with silver-flecked dark hair. They smiled at each other like strangers sharing warmth for the first time. Neither knew why sitting together felt right. Familiar, comforting. Neither knew the depth of the bond written in their souls. But as a breeze whispered through the trees, carrying echoes of a love strong enough to defy death, Noorah turned toward him and said softly, Have we met before? Kyle hesitated, then smiled. I don't know, he said, but it feels like we have.